The late afternoon sun streamed through the wide glass doors of Thompson's General Store, catching in the dust motes that hung lazily in the air. It was the kind of ordinary day that carried the faint hum of suburban monotony. A mother arguing softly with her young daughter over candy choices. A teenager staring at his phone as he leaned against a display of canned beans, and a man in his late 60s, broad-shouldered but stooped with age, walking slowly through the aisles, scanning items with methodical care. His name was Robert Hayes, a retired Marine veteran who had served 2 decades in active duty. His uniform was long gone, replaced by the plain clothes of civilian life, but his posture, even in retirement, retained a quiet, disciplined rigidity. There was a calm about him, a presence that drew attention without demanding it. He moved through life in measured steps, the echoes of his service whispering in every movement, every gesture. Robert had been in Thompson's many times before. It was his regular stop for household supplies, for small treats for his grandchildren, and occasionally for a quiet moment away from the bustling city streets. But this particular afternoon, something would happen that neither he nor anyone in the store would soon forget. The clerk at the counter, a young man barely out of his teens named Tyler, was tired and irritable. His job had brought him face to face with complaints, rude customers, and endless monotony, and today, he carried that weight visibly. When Robert approached the counter with a simple basket of groceries, Tyler barely looked up. "Evening," Robert greeted politely. "Yeah, whatever," Tyler muttered, his eyes flicking over the items, as if Robert were already a nuisance. Robert placed his items on the counter: a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, some eggs, and a small pack of cookies for his granddaughter. "Just these today," he said gently. Tyler slammed the items down with a little more force than necessary. "You really shouldn't be taking so long." "People are waiting," he snapped, his voice sharp, almost venomous. Robert blinked, slightly taken aback. Sorry, I didn't realize I was in anyone's way," he said, his tone even betraying none of the irritation that fluttered through him. "Yeah, well, maybe you should speed it up, old man. You're holding up the line," Tyler said, leaning back lazily against the counter, smirking in a way that suggested he thought he had made a witty remark. The insult landed like a slap. Robert's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in quiet disbelief. He had faced far worse in combat, situations that demanded life-and-death decisions. Yet the audacity of this young man's disrespect cut in an unexpected way. "I am a veteran," Robert said calmly, trying to maintain composure. "I served in the Marines for 20 years. You should be careful with your words." Tyler laughed, a hollow, dismissive sound. "Yeah, so what? I've got my own problems. You think your service makes you better than me?" Robert could feel a flash of heat rise in him, but he quelled it immediately. He had been trained to control his emotions, to respond with strategy rather than impulse. Yet, the sense of injustice, the sheer lack of respect, gnawed at him. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he paid for his items, his hands steady despite the tension coiling in his chest. As he walked out, Tyler called after him sarcastically, "Thanks for your service, old-timer. Really makes a difference." Robert's jaw tightened. That moment, though brief, lingered in his mind, pressing against him like a weight he could not shake. The next day, Robert returned to the store not out of anger, but with an intention he hoped would have a meaningful impact. He knew confrontation could escalate, but he also knew that some lessons needed to be taught. He entered the store and asked to speak to the manager, a woman named Claire Benson, who had overseen the store for nearly a decade. Claire listened patiently as Robert recounted the previous day's encounter. Her eyes widened in concern as she realized the severity of the young clerk's behavior. "I am so sorry this happened, Mr. Hayes," she said. "That is completely unacceptable. I promise we will address it immediately." True to her word, Claire called Tyler into the back office. Robert, standing nearby, observed quietly as the manager spoke. Tyler's initial arrogance faded quickly under Claire's firm but measured words. He stammered, attempted excuses, but ultimately offered a weak apology. Robert nodded, not with satisfaction but with the quiet dignity that came from living a life of service. "An apology is a start," he said. "But respect is earned through understanding, not fear." Tyler's gaze met Robert's, and for the first time, there was a flicker of recognition and acknowledgement of the man's presence, his experience, and the weight of his words. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Weeks passed. Robert continued his visits to Thompson's, each time observing Tyler with a cautious optimism. He noticed small changes: a more polite greeting, a willingness to assist customers, a softening of the previously harsh demeanor. But what neither Robert nor Tyler could have anticipated was how this small incident would ripple far beyond the store's aisles. One afternoon, a fundraising event for veterans was being held in the community center across town. Robert had been a regular participant, speaking to young students about service, sacrifice, and the importance of integrity. That day, he invited Tyler to attend not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for understanding. Tyler hesitated. He had never been around veterans, let alone understood the gravity of their experiences. But curiosity, coupled with the subtle guidance Robert provided, led him to accept. The event was sobering and inspiring in equal measure. Stories of courage, resilience, and loss were shared. Veterans spoke of comrades lost, of battles fought on foreign soil, and of the invisible scars carried home. Tyler listened, transfixed, as he realized the depth of commitment, the unwavering dedication these men and women had displayed. When it was time for audience interaction, Robert encouraged Tyler to share a few words. Nervous, uncertain, and unpracticed in public speaking, Tyler nonetheless stepped forward. I just want to say that I had no idea what it meant to serve," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I judged without understanding, and I am sorry. I see now. Respect is more than a word. It is action. It is sacrifice. It is living with honor." The room was silent for a moment before applause broke out, not just polite clapping, but genuine appreciation. Robert placed a steady hand on Tyler's shoulder, a simple gesture that conveyed forgiveness, mentorship, and trust. From that day on, Tyler's life changed in ways he had never expected. His relationships with customers improved, his confidence grew, and he discovered a sense of purpose that had been absent before. Robert became a mentor, not in the formal sense, but in the quiet, powerful way that comes from shared humanity and mutual respect. Months later, the incident at Thompson's became a small story in the local paper. A photograph of Robert and Tyler appeared, capturing a moment of reconciliation. The headline read, "Veteran's Wisdom Changes Young Clerk's Life." Readers were moved, inspired, and reminded that civility, respect, and understanding could transform lives in ways that anger and arrogance never could. Yet, for Robert, the moment was never about recognition. It was about integrity. About teaching a lesson through action rather than confrontation. About showing that even a single encounter could ripple outward, creating change in the hearts of those willing to listen. The store continued to thrive, and Tyler remained a model of professionalism and kindness. He occasionally shared the story with other employees, emphasizing the lessons he had learned not as a tale of embarrassment, but as a testament to growth, empathy, and the quiet power of understanding. Robert, now walking through life with the steady rhythm of age and wisdom, would sometimes pause outside Thompson's watching Tyler assist a customer with genuine attentiveness. In those moments, he felt a profound sense of satisfaction not for himself, but for the young man who had once spoken carelessly and who had now embraced the transformative power of respect. It was a reminder that life's lessons often come from unexpected places. A young clerk behind a counter, a quiet veteran seeking dignity, and the extraordinary moments that arise when humanity chooses understanding over insult, empathy over judgment, and courage over indifference. Robert Hayes had faced battles most could not imagine, yet the victory he cherished most was not one fought in distant lands with weapons and strategy. It was the victory of quiet mentorship, of changing a life not through force but through example. And in that, he found a fulfillment more profound than any medal, any ceremony, or any public accolade. And Tyler found in himself a resilience and respect he had never known, forever altered by the presence of a man who refused to meet insult with anger, who refused to let bitterness define the outcome, and who taught, without harsh words, that honor could be both given and received. In the small sunlit aisles of Thompson's General Store, life moved forward. But for two men, their story remained a reminder of the extraordinary power of civility, of patience, and of the transformative impact a single act of respect can have on a life.